I thought the wedding was about love. It turned into the moment I lost her. I didn't find out my girlfriend was cheating through texts or DMIs. Found out while everyone was clapping and smiling. The truth hit me in the middle of a wedding speech. And the worst part is, I was holding her hand when it happened. We had been together for 3 years. Not messy years, real years. The kind where you plan grocery lists together and argue about paint colors you might never use. Her name was Emily. She was calm, thoughtful, the kind of person who remembered birthdays without Facebook reminders. I trusted her without thinking twice. That's why the speech felt like a glitch in reality. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me rewind to how solid we were. Or at least how solid I thought we were. We met through mutual friends at a backyard 4th of July party. She laughed at my bad joke. I liked that she didn't try too hard. Easy vibes. No red flags. Our relationship moved fast, but not reckless. We took trips. Met each other's families. Her mom loved me. Her dad respected me. I helped her move apartments twice. That's real commitment. By year 2, people assumed we were headed somewhere serious. And honestly, so did I. Emily talked about the future like it was a shared plan. We should do this someday. When we live somewhere quieter. When we have more space. Nothing felt forced. Nothing felt fake. If you asked me back then, I would have said we were boring in the best way. The first weird feeling didn't come with drama. It came quietly. She started guarding her phone just a little more. Not hiding it. Just angling the screen away. I noticed it, then immediately told myself I was being paranoid. She had a new friend group from work, happy hours, weekend plans I wasn't always invited to. She said she needed independence. I agreed. That sounded healthy. Sometimes she'd come home late, tired, quiet. She'd say work was stressful. I believed her. There were moments I felt like I was talking to someone who was half there, like she was already somewhere else. But when I asked if we were okay, she'd smile and say, "Yeah, just tired." So I let it go. Then came the wedding invite. Her best friend from college, Sarah, was getting married. Big venue, out-of-town fancy dress code. Emily was a bridesmaid. She was excited in that nervous, emotional way. Late-night dress fittings, group chats blowing up her phone. I was just happy to be included. The weekend felt good. Road trip vibes. Music, laughing. She rested her head on my shoulder in the car. If there was guilt in her, I didn't see it. The wedding day was perfect. Sunny, warm. One of those days that feels staged. Emily looked incredible. I remember thinking how lucky I was. The ceremony passed without anything weird. Tears, vows, applause. Then came the reception. We sat at a round table near the front, drinks flowing. Everyone relaxed. When it was time for speeches, I leaned back, half best man jokes, maid of honor stories. Then Sarah stood up. She started talking about love, about timing, about how sometimes the person you think is the one isn't the one you end up with. I remember feeling oddly tense, like my body reacted before my brain did. Sarah laughed and said something like, "And we all know how messy those years can be." People laughed. Then she said it. She talked about a time in college when Emily was stuck between two hearts, about how Emily thought she was in love with someone safe, but kept finding herself drawn back to someone she couldn't quit. I felt Emily's hand tighten in mine. Sarah kept going, smiling, thinking it was a harmless story. She mentioned late-night calls, secret meets, how Emily had said, "I feel awful, but it feels real." My chest felt hollow. Sarah ended it with something like, "And I'm so proud of you for finally choosing honesty." The room clapped. I didn't, because suddenly, pieces were snapping together too cleanly, too perfectly. Emily wasn't looking at me. She was staring straight ahead, frozen. I leaned over and whispered her name. She didn't answer. That was the moment I knew something was deeply wrong. I didn't say anything during the applause. I just sat there, smiling like my face was on autopilot. Emily finally looked at me. Her eyes asked a question she didn't want answered. "Are you okay?" she whispered. I nodded. That was a lie. The rest of the reception blurred together. Music, laughter, clinking glasses. Everyone celebrating love while something inside me collapsed quietly. In the car, back to the hotel, the silence was heavy. Not comfortable, not tired. Loaded. Emily stared out the window. I watched the road. After a few minutes, I said it. "What was that about?" She didn't ask what I meant. She knew. "It was just an old story," she said. Her voice was calm. "Too calm?" "An old story about cheating," I asked. She sighed. "I didn't cheat." That word hung between us. Cheat. Sarah literally described secret calls and meets, I said. That wasn't a metaphor. Emily turned toward me. Her eyes were glossy, defensive. It was complicated. That was the second lie. I pulled into the hotel parking lot and turned off the engine. The quiet felt louder than the music ever was. Was it while we were together? I asked. She didn't answer right away. That pause said everything. Yes, she said softly. But it didn't mean anything. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because my brain didn't know what else to do. So what? I said. This was some emotional overlap thing. She shook her head. It wasn't like that. I looked at her. Then tell me what it was. She stared at her hands. I didn't plan it. It just happened. That sentence flipped a switch inside me. You don't accidentally lie for months, I said. You don't accidentally disappear at night. Her eyes filled with tears. I was confused. I thought about all the times I told myself I was over, all the nights I trusted her words over my gut. Who was it? I asked. She hesitated, then said a name I recognized immediately. A guy from work. Someone she'd mentioned casually. Someone I'd met once at a company party. The room felt smaller. How long? I asked. She wiped her face. A few months. That hurt more than the betrayal itself, because it meant it wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Repeated. Did you sleep with him? I asked. She nodded once. I leaned back against the seat and closed my eyes. The image burned without detail, just the weight of it. I was going to tell you, she said quickly. I swear. When I asked, after the wedding, she said. I didn't want to ruin it. That stung, not because of the wedding, because she thought the timing mattered more than the truth. So you were just going to smile tonight, I said. Dance with me. Sleep next to me. She didn't deny it. We went up to the hotel room in silence. The hallway carpet felt endless. Inside, she sat on the edge of the bed. I stood near the door. I don't know what you want me to say, she said. I messed up. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She wasn't a villain. She wasn't evil. She was human. And that somehow made it worse. Did you love him? I asked. She shook her head fast. No, I love you. That answer didn't help. Then why risk us? I asked. She opened her mouth. Closed it. I didn't think I'd get caught, she finally said. The honesty was brutal. I grabbed my jacket. Where are you going? She asked. I need air, I said. She followed me into the hallway. I'm sorry, she said again. I'll do anything. I stopped walking. Anything? I asked. Yes. Tell me why you didn't stop, I said. She looked at me like she'd been waiting for that question. Because with him, I felt wanted in a way I didn't feel anymore. That sentence shattered something fragile inside me. I thought about every time I tried harder, every check-in, every compromise. I wanted you, I said quietly. She nodded, crying. I know. I walked out anyway. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my car until sunrise. I replayed the speech in my head. The laughter, the applause, how everyone celebrated honesty while I swallowed betrayal. By morning, I knew one thing for sure. I could never unhear those words, and I wasn't sure love was enough to survive them. By the time the sun came up, I had already made a decision. I just hadn't said it out loud yet. Emily texted me around 8. Please come back. We need to talk. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I drove back to the hotel. She opened the door before I knocked. Her eyes were swollen. She looked small. Not dramatic. Just tired. We sat across from each other like strangers. No touching. No comfort. I didn't sleep, she said. Neither did I said. She started explaining again. How lonely she'd felt. How the guy from work listened to her. How it started as texts. Then drinks. Then crossed a line. I let her talk. Not because it helped. Because I needed to hear how easily our life fit into her excuses. When did it stop? I asked. It hasn't, she said quietly. That was the real turning point. I looked up. What? I ended it emotionally, she said fast. But I still see him at work. I stood up. My body reacted before my mind did. So it's still active, I said. In your life, in your head. She started crying again. I was going to quit. You weren't, I said. Not yet. Silence. I don't trust you, I said. The words felt final. She reached for my hand. I stepped back. I'm not saying you're a bad person, I said, but you broke something in me. She nodded like she already knew. We checked out early. Drove home in separate cars. The next few weeks were strange. Not explosive. Quiet. Heavy. We still lived together. Different schedules. Different rooms. Friends asked if we were okay. We said yes. At night, I lay awake thinking about details I didn't want. Where they went. What they said about me. Emily tried to fix things. Therapy suggestions. Long messages, apologies without excuses. I wanted to forgive her. That scared me, because forgiveness felt like permission. One night, she sat beside me on the couch. "We can rebuild," she said. "I'll be transparent. I'll earn it back." I looked at her. "You already showed me who you are under pressure," I said. "That's the version I can't forget." She cried quietly, not loudly, not manipulative, just grief. "I hate that Sarah said it like that," she said. "At the wedding." I shook my head. "That wasn't the problem. The problem is, you would have kept lying," I said, "and I would have kept believing you." She didn't argue. A few days later, she told me she quit her job. She blocked him. She showed me everything. It was too late, not because she didn't try, but because I changed. I started imagining a life without her, and it didn't feel empty anymore. One evening, I packed a bag. "Are you leaving?" she asked. "I think so," I said. She nodded slowly, like she'd been preparing. "I don't want to lose you," she said. "I already did," I replied. I moved into a small apartment across town. Nothing fancy, quiet. The first night alone felt unreal. No noise, no explanations, just space. And in that space, the pain finally caught up to me. I cried harder than I ever had, not because I missed her, but because I missed the version of us that never actually existed. I thought about the wedding again. How love speeches can hide damage. How betrayal doesn't always scream. Sometimes it claps politely and sits back down. And I wondered if walking away was strength, or just fear dressed as. The apartment didn't feel like freedom at first. It felt like withdrawal. Every habit reminded me of her. Making coffee for two, reaching for my phone at night. Emily respected the space. No surprise visits, just occasional messages. Soft, careful. "I miss you. I hope you're okay." I didn't reply, not because I hated her, because every response reopened something I was trying to close. Weeks passed, then months. From the outside, I looked fine. Work, gym, friends. Inside, I felt suspended. Trust doesn't break loudly. It leaks. I started questioning memories, vacations, laughs, intimacy. Was any of it real, or just convenient? One night, I ran into Sarah at a coffee shop. I almost walked out, but she saw me first. Her face dropped. "Oh," she said. "I'm so sorry." We sat down. Awkward, honest. "I didn't know you didn't know," she said. "I thought Emily had told you." That sentence sat heavy. "How long?" I asked. Sarah hesitated. "Almost a year." My stomach tightened. "A year?" I repeated. She nodded. "They were on and off." She said you two were struggling. "We weren't." I thanked Sarah and left before the coffee arrived. In my car, I sat frozen. A year wasn't a mistake. It was a parallel life. That night, Emily called. I answered. She heard it in my voice immediately. "You talked to Sarah?" "Yes," I said. She went quiet. "You told her we were struggling," I said. "I didn't know how else to justify it," she said. That hurt more than the affair, because it meant she rewrote our story to make her choices feel lighter. "I defended you," I said. "I blamed myself." "I know," she whispered. I realized then something important. She wasn't just sorry she cheated. She was sorry she got exposed. "I need closure," she said. "One last conversation. In person." I agreed. We met at a park where we used to walk. Same bench, same trees. She looked healthier, calmer, like she'd forgiven herself. "I've been working on myself," she said. "I know why I did it now." I listened, but I didn't feel curious. "I didn't come to fix this," I said. "I came to end it." Her eyes filled. "I don't hate you," I said, "but I don't trust you, and I don't want to live guarded." She nodded slowly. "I loved you," she said. "I believe you," I replied. "That's the tragedy." We sat in silence. As I stood to leave, she asked, "Do you ever think we could have survived this?" I looked back at her. "Maybe," I said, "but I don't think I would have survived myself." I walked away without looking back. For the first time, the loss felt clean. But a question lingered. If betrayal comes from confusion and not cruelty, is walking away still the right choice? I didn't have the answer yet. After that day at the park, something shifted. Not relief. Clarity. I stopped checking my phone for messages that wouldn't come. I stopped replaying conversations to see where I went wrong. Life didn't magically improve, but it simplified. I started therapy, not because I was broken, because I didn't want to carry someone else's choices forever. The therapist asked me a question that stuck. If she had told you the truth early, Would you have stayed? I thought about it for a long time. Yes, I said, and immediately hated that answer, because it meant my loyalty wasn't the problem. My tolerance was. I ran into the guy once. Pure accident. Grocery store aisle. Frozen foods. He recognized me. I recognized the guilt in his eyes. Man, I'm sorry, he said. She said you guys were basically done. There it was again. That version of me. The distant boyfriend. The failing relationship. I didn't argue. I just nodded and walked away. Not because I accepted it. Because I was done correcting lies I didn't create. Emily didn't reach out after that. I think she finally understood. Months passed. I dated casually. Nothing serious. I was honest from the start. I'm not looking to rush, I'd say. And for the first time, I meant it. One night, a girl I'd been seeing asked me, "What scares you the most about relationships?" I answered without thinking, "Loving someone who had its reality." She didn't push. She didn't pry. That felt new. Sometimes, late at night, I still thought about the wedding. The applause. How betrayal can hide inside celebration. I wondered how many people in that room were clapping through their own secrets. How many smiles were just timing. I didn't feel angry anymore. Anger burns fast. What stayed was something quieter. Awareness. I learned that trust isn't about believing someone wouldn't hurt you. It's believing they'd tell you if they did. Emily never gave me that chance. 1 year after the wedding, I attended another one. Different friends. Different city. During the speeches, I felt tense again. Like my body remembered before my mind did. But nothing happened. No confessions. No accidental truths. Just love. Simple, uneventful. And that's when it hit me. Peace shouldn't feel suspicious. After the reception, I walked back to my hotel, alone. I felt okay with that. Not lonely. Complete. I thought about Emily one last time. Not with bitterness. With acceptance. She wasn't evil. She was human. But so was I. And I deserved a relationship where honesty wasn't a surprise reveal. As I lay in bed that night, one thought kept repeating. If I hadn't heard that speech, how long would the lie have lasted? Maybe years. Maybe forever. And that question scared me more than being alone ever did. Because sometimes the worst betrayals don't end relationships. They quietly rewrite them. And the scariest part is, you might never know you're living someone else's version of the truth. A few weeks after that wedding, I got a message from Emily. Not an apology. Not a plea. Just a question. Do you think people can truly change? I stared at it for a long time. I thought about the version of her I loved, and the version of her who lied effortlessly. I thought about myself. How I trusted without needing proof. How I learned to listen to discomfort instead of explaining it away. I typed back slowly. I think people can change, I wrote. But I also think you shouldn't wait around to see if they do. She didn't reply. That was the last time we spoke. Life moved forward the way it always does. Quietly. Without closure ceremonies. Sometimes I still replay that moment. Not the cheating. The applause. How a room full of people celebrated honesty while I sat there holding a secret. I didn't consent to it. It taught me something I didn't want to learn. Love isn't just about how deeply someone feels. It's about how bravely they tell the truth when it's uncomfortable. Emily loved me. I believe that. But she loved peace more than honesty. And I paid the price for that choice. Now, when I meet someone new, I don't look for perfection. I look for consistency. I listen to how they talk about people who aren't in the room. I notice how they explain past mistakes. Because betrayal doesn't start with cheating. It starts with editing the story. And here's the question I still don't have an answer to. If you discover the truth by accident, after years of loyalty, effort, and love, do you walk away to protect yourself? Or do you stay and rebuild because humans are flawed? Was leaving the strongest thing I could do? Or the easiest? What would you have done in my place?